what does working with content creators mean in terms of the approach that you take compared to sort of traditional TV or traditional content creation?
Yeah, I mean, like we often talk about the fact that we're founded by a creator, so we think like a creator.
Mm,
Previous to After Party Studios, me and one of the other founders, a guy called Rich Mansell, kind of worked in the YouTube space since its inception. So
right.
I worked at ITV years ago on the TV side, and then jumped into ITV.com, and the boom of VOD, video on demand, came about.
Yeah.
And then I left there after only about 6 months to join a company that was bringing content rights holders onto YouTube when YouTube first launched.
Yeah.
So you might be familiar, when it first started, it was very much user-generated content,
Mm,
UGC, on pianos and shaky holiday cam footage. And Charlie Bit My Finger
that's right.
was one of the biggest viral hits ever. But
Yeah.
so Rich that I run the company with, him and another guy actually saw the niche, the angle to go to sports federations, record labels, and production companies and take all of their width and breadth of content off shelves or online or from live events and bring it all into curated channels on YouTube.
Mm,
So they were one of the first kind of original MCNs, multi-channel networks on YouTube. So we worked with people like the FA across multiple channels. So England International, FA Cup, under 21s, and then pretty much every production company in the UK, Hat Trick, Zodiac. We took Mr. Bean off the shelf from Endemol, put it on YouTube, got it to 1 million subscribers in a year.
mm,
And then we basically amassed about 3,500 premium channels. And then we fell into the world of original channels popping up on YouTube. So guys and girls filming in bedrooms, doing beauty tutorials, daily vlogging, gaming, doing free running, doing football freestyling. And
mm.
we basically went, oh my God, like all this new talent being born from YouTube is amazing. Finding these like supercharged audiences. Some of the growth was 10,000 one week, 100,000 within the next few months.
Mhm.
So we wrapped our arms around this amazing crop of new talent from the platform, and essentially built one of the biggest YouTuber networks in the whole of the UK and Europe. Um,
Mm,
so for us, the thing is, like, it's in our DNA. Like, us
mm,
as founders, we met Callum Callux, the
mm.
YouTuber we run the company with as well, when he was 17. He was
Right.
on a show called Mrs. Black Ops, and he actually came and worked for the company for 3 years so we could get in the mindset of a YouTuber. That was back in like 2010, maybe 2011. So we've known each
That's
other a
it.
long time,
Yeah.
working with this talent from day dot, helping them find new audiences, helping them to optimize on platforms like YouTube, helping them to then navigate how to work with brands through sponsorships and live streams. And we were one of the first companies to do the first forays into branded content, because we had a lot of brands come to us and say, hey, like, rather than just putting advertising against these channels,
Mm,
can we actually work with this talent to make
mm,
like branded content? So we were
mm.
right at the start of that movement, and I'd say, like, we've probably done a really good job of shaping and molding it since when that company launched in like 2007, 8, through to then selling that company, and then like Rich and Callum coming together with me slightly later on to
Mm,
essentially launch After Party Studios, which
mm,
aimed at just carrying on working with online talent, helping them to continue making great content for YouTube and other platforms, but really with one eye on what was next, what happens to YouTubers beyond the platform. Can we push more into the mainstream?
yeah,
um
yeah.
I think that's what attracted me to the business.
Right.
And then one of the first things I did was help get a distribution deal for a documentary we were making with KSI.
Hmm.
If you're familiar, I always love to tell people the reason why Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul on Netflix is because KSI beat up a YouTuber called Joe Weller.
That's
He
right.
then called out Logan Paul, who took the bait, and we were filming a documentary to tell that story. And then when he called out Logan, we were like, "Fucking hell!" Sony were already attached to the project, and it was like, "Well, look, should we just keep rolling the cameras to like follow where that could get to?"
Mm,
And then look, that fight happened, and the KSI Joe fight did well, but the
mm,
KSI Logan fight broke some streaming records.
mm,
Biggest white collar boxing fight of all time,
mm,
and we were the guys that had the documentary that told that story, and it
mm,
was #1 on iTunes for a week in the UK, top 1 and 2 in over 10 countries, bestseller on Amazon. And to be honest,
mm.
mate, what that happened for us like 6-7 years ago. We've just ridden the trajectory, the coattails of success on YouTube, and what KSI did for that moment for boxing and YouTube and YouTube sports crossover. You know, we've kind of ridden that wave, and you know, we now work with, you know, just a whole host of brands and broadcasters and platforms like Netflix, and you know, still kind of have one eye on the sports end space, which I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about.
Yeah, amazing. That's a great background. So when a content creator first starts working with a company like yours, they've gone from doing it essentially all themselves, and now they're working in partnership with sort of, you know, a professional outfit and stuff. I mean, what's that transition like, and how do you sort of make that as comfortable as possible for them?
I think, you know, look, it works twofold. You know, you're talking about very much content creator side, but it works the other way. I mean,
Yeah,
you
right.
know, as much as we're helping content creators navigate brands and the commissioning landscape and the traditional world, we're helping the traditional world navigate the content creator space. So I
Very
think,
true.
again, like all the history I've just given you, like where we sit so sweetly is we've been working in the YouTube space since day dot, working with content creators for years, like 15 years now. We are founded by and you know, run the company with one of the UK's OG YouTubers. So he's connected to the community, the space. There's an element of trust factor that comes in. So we have the trust. As we know, in any relationship, trust is so important. So we're a trusted support advisor. You know, me and Rich quite often just give free advice and insight to content creators over a certain contract, or if they feel like they're getting the brunt of a bad deal, to, you know, people coming to us to make content for their channels, or people coming to us to make content they want to get invested by a brand for or commissioned by a broadcaster. So I think we're just a really good go-to trusted advisor to help them really navigate the space. And then, like, similarly, you know, certainly from the last 7-8 years of After Party, we've been trying to educate, you know, the more traditional landscape, you know, knocking on those doors, going into broadcasters and brands, and you know, really kind of showing the power and the appeal of working with online talent. And look, you know, 8 years ago is a lot harder now. I'm lucky that we're in a position where, from being first movers and shakers in the space, we now get a lot of people approach us to say, can you come and talk to us about working with creators? Like, can you come in and educate our teams? You know, we were in Iris Worldwide 2 weeks ago. I'm going into speak at ITV in like 2 weeks' time, which is a panel with Nipcom London talking about, you know, funded stuff. So luckily, you know, we're now out there, and very much to, like, you know, we sit and exist where YouTube meets mainstream, and again, we're trying to like bridge that gap between those two worlds. So yeah, as I say, it's as much as what we're trying to help educate on the you know, traditional side, as well as the content creator side. But yeah, trust is everything, I'd say.
So yeah, that's all really interesting. And the creators themselves, obviously, they're, because they're such a key part of it. Do you almost have do you represent them at all, or have a contract with them? Because presumably, you know, that's part of the sell to the traditional broadcaster. They're probably after certain personalities. And so, yeah, how does that work in terms of the kind of relationship you got with these creators?
It's not, it's an interesting one. We get asked a lot, actually, like, you know, are you guys doing management? Are you wanting to do management? And like, to be honest, like, not really. You know, for us, we're a creative production company, right? So we went through a bit of a rebrand, repositioning piece last year, because, you know, we were sort of labeled as a production company, which we are, and we do gun, you know, we're a gun for hire. If you want to come and make something, let us know what you want to make, and we'll price it up and we'll make it. But for years, we've been a lot more than that. You know, we are kind of in part creative agency mixed with production company. So people come to us, like, really to kind of get the insights and set the strategy to find the creative hook, do the production and help with distribution. So we don't really want to muddle that. Like, I think as soon as you start representing talent exclusively, you're like, you know, then going to be kind of, you know, biased to that talent. We're quite talent agnostic. We want to bring in the best talent, the right talent for any particular job. But naturally, again, back to the point of, like, we've been in this space a long time. We have the trust factor. We have the ear. You know, we're a safe space for talent to come to help with a random mix of stuff, either producing content for their channels or for brand channels. You know, talent now launching brands, so we're helping with some of that content marketing, and really kind of helping them matchmake and connect with, you know, agencies and brands and broadcasters and platforms. So yeah, for now, like, it's not on the cards. You know, we just have a conduit and a really good place for talent to come to really help kind of elevate what they're doing beyond the day-to-day on social, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So
there's not many
if
brands, man.
so,
There's not many brands that have our USP
no,
and that have that. And like, you know, again, I feel like it's a really unique position and quite a privileged position for us to be in.
yeah, yeah. Can you point out some of your sort of highlight projects that you would say, you know, if you're going to come to After Party Studios, check out these bits of content because these are where, you know, it really shines where we're using that content creator, that influencer, they feel comfortable, it's working for the brand or whatever. Yeah, there's some sort of key examples of say of the last
Sure.
18
I'm,
months.
I'm
So
really proud, like personally, like especially within the sports sense space, you know, we
mm,
launched a sports sense platform called about 5 years ago now.
right.
And like it was the first time like a publisher play had really gone to be in a space where YouTube is mainstream. And I
Yeah.
guess for this project, it was very much where, you know, kind of bringing sports stars into relatable YouTube formats. It was at the time where Harry Pinero's star was just rising slightly in the sky,
Mm,
but he'd never been the front man of a project. He was always sort of playing second fiddle to people like Chunks.
mm,
So we brought, you know, Harry Pinero in as a front man. We launched a sports sense platform in the thick of COVID, the worst time to launch anything, certainly a new platform on YouTube.
mm,
But we lent into all of our relationships and talent, you know, within our community, you know, some of the Sidemen boys, people like Stephen Tries, people like Chunks, people like Nico Milana. And we basically, you know, bought athletes like, you know, Jack Grealish and Mason Mount, lot of kind of football focus.
mm.
Even had Eddie Hearn on there at one point. We went to a DAZN launch party and
Right.
did some down stuff with Eddie Hearn and Specs Gonzalez right at the
Yeah.
start. Specs' like career within social, but marrying those worlds, we got to 100,000 subscribers in 2 months on YouTube, which is pretty
Right.
much unheard of. Even
Yeah.
YouTube themselves lent in and went, mate, like, have you just bought all of those subscribers? How have you done that?
Yeah.
You see the platform, we launched with a series called Park the Bus, right? Which was taking Jose Mourinho's infamous tactics of literally parking the team in front of a goal. We took all of these YouTubers down to the Excel Center. And whilst one of them was trying to park a bus, we got other ones to shoot and try and score goals. And it sounds like an absolutely like bonkers format. I sent
That's,
links. It's
yeah.
mad, but that series, that 6 part, is what we launched the channel with. Brought loads of familiar YouTube faces, sprinkled with, like I said, the likes of Grealish and Mason Mount and other, you know,
Yeah.
high-profile sports stars.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we got to that subscriber number, we were melting views. We started getting approached by loads of, you know, press outlets to come and cover certain events. We
Mm,
worked with a whole host of brands. Super proud moment, and really, I think that's what set us in a really good place for where we now exist within the sports sense space. So I'd say roll forward a few years. Another huge project I'm really proud of is our show Scenes with Sky Sports.
yeah.
They came to us for last Prem season, wanted to hit a next gen audience. So, you know, for a few years, I think they felt like Sky Sports is really slipping away from young audience, looked as being a bit stuffy, a
Yeah.
bit, you know, sort of detached from a younger crowd. So they came to us with like, you know, new Prem season. How can we start to connect with the younger audience? And we came up with this format called Scenes, which is essentially an elevated matchday vlog, but using the unfettered access you get from Sky Sports and Premier League and the clubs around the, you know, the games that we were featuring. And we brought again Specs Gonzalez in with a presenter called Morph, giving them their kind of first break in what felt quite mainstream. And again, you know, working with the Sky Sports talent, you know, their pundits and commentators around certain games. Again, I think it's just, you know, relatable YouTube formats that
Mm,
perform really well for them. You know,
mm,
73 million views across season one, which
yeah.
meant you know, a renewal for season two, which we're halfway through. We're about to go and do Man United Arsenal straight after the Sidemen match on Sunday.
Right.
So we're bringing Chunks and Angry Ginge that are going to be in the Sidemen match, taking them up to
Great.
Manchester
Right.
to then go and do scenes ep 5 of this current season or ep 6.
Wow.
And yeah,
Yeah.
again, for me, like we're now up to 102 views across the series. And again, you know, when you deliver success of that kind of led on to us getting the brief for the likes of Sky Sports Scenes. It started us working with people like Sky Bet, where we do a lot with on the
Mm,
YouTube, you know, sort of social space with a
mm,
property called League 72. which dials up their access to, you know, the 72 EFL clubs because they're a headline sponsor partner.
Yeah,
I mean, it's loads of like lyrical, even back
Yeah.
to the KSI doc, you know, for me, like what that moment did for the scene, and you know, us having a premiere in Picture House Central in Piccadilly was just an absolute moment. And I remember actually sitting in the once the film was finished, we went and sat in Sony's offices, and it was quite cute because there was about 6 of us in the room that had made the film, and they were like, "Oh, this is really nice. Is this all of your heads of department?" Little did they know that the like head of sound, JJ, mixed it and did an original score from his bedroom. Daniel, that did the grade, the color grade, did it from his bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was like, mate, this is it, like five men and a dog.
Yeah, that's so different.
Which is amazing. Like that was an amazing sort of pinch yourself moment, I'd say, as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, the one thing you could say, especially, you know, if you're of a certain age like myself, is a lot of this content is enjoyable, but it is a certain type of content. It's quite loud and brash, sort of in your face, and it always seems to be, you know, with all the creative content stuff. I don't know if that's something that it just like particularly appeals to like a Gen Z and lower demographic, or whether it's there is sort of space for a bit of variety. I don't know if that's something that, you know, you've ever sort of talked about, or whether there's even consideration.
I think so. Yeah, look, for us,
Right.
you know, some of the across some platforms, you know, your JD Sports and your Foot Asylums and even the 4.0 stuff, you know, it is trying to be, maybe polarizing is the wrong word, but it's trying to strike a chord, man. It's just trying to get a reaction.
Yeah.
You know, these online platforms that I'm sure you go and live on YouTube, and you've delved into TikTok. We're all just like caught in this scroll mentality. And look, you know, unless something's grabbing you in the first few seconds, you're probably not watching it. In saying that, I do think there is, you know, there is definitely space and room for, you know, more lean back content. You know, I think a lot more content creators that are growing up and maturing for these platforms are wanting to do more heartfelt stuff. You know, we did an Untold with Channel 4 last year, after being a YouTuber, where we had Dan Howell, who again is like an OG of YouTube, massively engaged audience. He went to dive into like what it actually takes to become a YouTuber. And we had contribs, including people like Vicstar from the Sidemen, Calix, again, that we run the company with, the contrib. And, you know, like that, you know, that is a real like sit back, you know, like really get into the ethos and the mentality and showing a different side to creators. So I think, you know, we are starting to see a bit more of that as, again, the more traditional worlds are embracing this talent. I think we'll see, you know, we'll see more to come. And also, you know, that even some of the Sidemen stuff, you know, now the Sidemen stuff, you know, when they do the wheel, yes, it is still comedy and it's still loud in parts, but that is run like you see the wheel run on TV. Like it's that high level of production. You're really trying to find the characters within, you know, the sort of those sort of game show environments. So it doesn't all need to be shouty. We certainly aren't just trying to be shouty across everything we do.
Yeah, I think it's a question that's worth asking. That's a good response. And also, I think a final question is content creators. They've obviously got a good income. They've got a good, you know, a massive audience for a lot of these people. What's in the move to potentially traditional TV for them? You know, what's the kind of driver for them? Is it so that their, you know, Nana might have heard it or something? I mean, is it purely that sort of side, or what?
I think so, mate. It's probably the same as how we look at it. You know, there is that element of credit and kudos and you know, credibility. I honestly feel now, you know, there's got to be a good rhyme and a reason for someone to go over to the more traditional space. You know, ideally letting someone flex and do something that plays into a bit of a passion project for them. You know, giving them a voice in a certain area. But yeah, look, unfortunately now we're in a world where the views are being made, you know, on other platforms. That's where the money is, you know, in terms of branded entertainment and branded content. So yeah, like there's got to be a good reason really to pull people over. But you know, look, there's still so much credibility of being in the TV space. And obviously now you've got the streamers. You know, big thing that's coming up is, you know, Sidemen having their show Inside season 2 hitting Netflix in March. That's huge for us in the space because if that goes down well, which I would bet my bottom dollar it will, it opens the floodgates for Netflix looking at, you know, production companies like us and more content creators to bring more audience, new eyeballs. So like they're playing that game. They've almost skipped the broadcasters. I don't know why they're moving so slow. 4.0 respect. They've been on a mission to dial up on YouTube, 2-3 year plan. And I think that plan is now showing some real green shoots. But some of the other broadcasters, the ITVs, I feel like are just left wanting, and they need to like strike a chord and make a move soon. Otherwise, you know, streamers like Amazon with Beast and Netflix with Sidemen are just going to come in and like just wipe them out slightly, you know. So
totally, yeah. And it can't just be a budget thing either, can it? I mean, I'm sure it's partly that, but you know, it does seem as though there's a bit of reticence or a very slow move to embrace that world. I don't know, but yeah, I think you're right.
We're getting there, mate. We're trying to educate people day by day, and look, you know, the tide is changing and things are moving, but on some side of more the traditional space, it's just not moving quick enough, you know. Hopefully they'll get there.
And actually, one quick question. We've talked a lot about YouTube, but you mentioned TikTok as well earlier. How are you finding TikTok? Is that a kind of key focus as a platform for you as well?
Yeah, TikTok's like an enigma, isn't it? It is. I honestly, like, the best way to tackle TikTok is really to work with people that are living and breathing the platform day to day. You know, luckily we employ a lot of young people that are just on there. They're across all of the trends happening at any one time, and there is multiple trends happening at any one time. Really hard to keep your finger on the pulse. I think like any platform, you've just got to be native to it. You've got to play on their terms. There's no point in just like trying to get a little cut down from, you know, a long form YouTube and just like cutting it together and sticking out on TikTok. The way that we shoot for all platforms now is to be platform specific. So when we're in situ, we are thinking, what is the TikTok angle or slant or post that we can create in this environment that is going to like strike a chord and hit on the platform? So it's you know, makes it more tough because now when you're shooting, you're not just shooting like one 16:9 thing. You're kind of shooting for, you know, the verticals and different verticals depending on the platform. Shorts is slightly different to Instagram Reels. It's different to TikTok. But you've just got to be making sure you're living and breathing every day on the platform and just trying to keep ahead of any trend that's popping off at any one time, you know. But yeah, it's an enigma.
Nice one. That was really great interview. Thanks so much. I think there's loads of insights for the broadcast readership, broadcast sport, and yeah, it's really good. Thanks so much. I appreciate
it, man. Yeah, keen to just keep working in tandem, and you know, it's great that you guys are shining a light on companies like us and the work we're doing in this space. So yeah, really, really grateful.